I want to make peace with where I am and have the healthy body weight that I want to have and the healthy body I have. And when you were describing the ledger process for debt management, I thought I could feel it. I could feel what it's like to have that be fun and to have it be a game and to be able to play that game, enjoying it, knowing where I am is okay as I'm going forward to something better.
All right, so what you got from that was you acknowledged that the financial condition in that example, your physical weight condition in this example, are not going to change instantly. What is what is. And so you're looking for some sort of game that would make that possible? Mm-hmm. Well, then let's go back to the game that worked relative to the dollars. So it's all about alignment. It's all about making a decision and then keeping your word about the decision. So when you say, I'm going to find improvement, and then you think a thought that says, but I'm never find improvement, you're contradicting your own intention first crack out of the box. But when you say, I'm going to find a way to find improvement, and I don't really know how it's going to be, but I believe that I will. You've made a statement, and you've found a way to find alignment with it, and you feel better for having said it, and so you're proud. And then just make some small decision about something that you know you can do, and do it. And then say, well, if I can do that, then I'm going to do such and such. You have to decide something that you believe that you can do, that you will be proud of yourself for doing. That's like the first step in making peace with where you are. Mm-hmm. So what could you decide to do that would make you believe that you could keep your word to yourself? Don't choose something that you don't believe you can do. Don't say, I'm going to run 5 miles every day. Don't say that. Don't say, I'm never going to eat anything with sugar or carbohydrates again. Don't say that. You're going to break that promise before the hour's out, usually, you see. Whenever someone says, I'm not going to do that, they activate it and it calls them. I'm not going to eat that Snicker bar. I'm not going to eat that Snicker bar. I'm not going to eat that Snicker bar. I'm eating that Snicker bar because I can't not eat that Snicker bar, you see.
Well, every day I could do something that makes my body feel good.
Like what?
I could do stretches every morning.
All right, I could do stretches every morning. And I'm not going to get carried away with this. I don't intend to make it a big, long, hard workout. I'm just going to do stretches every morning. Comfortable, good-feeling stretches. And I think that about this many stretches would be just about right for my first week of activity. How many stretches?
15.
15 stretches every day. And I'm going to do them standing, sitting, or lying down. What kind of stretches?
Standing and lying down.
And where will I be in my house when I do them?
It would be in the living room.
All right. So now I'm going to, every day, at about what time of the day? First thing in the morning? After lunch? When am I going to do this?
Before 9 a.m.
All right, so on or around 9 a.m., I'm going to go to my living room every day for the next 7 days, and I'm going to do 15 stretches. Done. Now, can't you feel how you've spent enough time on that you're actually calling yourself toward it? And don't you believe with all of your heart that you can do that? And can't you just feel how eager you're going to be? You're going to look at the clock and it's almost 9 a.m. and you're eager to do it, and you go in and you position yourself and you do 15 stretches of your choice, and you say, good for me, and you mark it down, and you feel exhilarated, and you can hardly wait until tomorrow at 9 o'clock to do 15 more stretches, because doing those stretches represents keeping your word to you. Doesn't that feel good? Now, while you're doing those 15 stretches, you might say, I'm going to take a short walk every day, and I'm going to breathe deeply while I walk for 10 or 15 minutes. Let's see, what would be inspiring and good feeling to me? I'm going to drink twice as much water as I usually drink. How much water do you usually drink in a day?
Probably 6 cups or so.
Well, that's pretty darn good. I'm going to make sure that I drink 8 cups of water tomorrow. So now at 9 o'clock, you can hardly wait to do those 15 stretches. And somewhere in the morning, you can hardly wait to take that 10-minute walk, while you breathe deeply, while you focus on your breathing while you walk. You're not focusing on distance, you're not focusing on speed, you're focusing on breathing while you walk. And then you watch yourself through the day and you drink the water, and at the end of these days, you feel doubly, triply good about yourself because you have made statements to yourself, you've kept your promise to yourself, and before you know it, you'll become the fitness guru of your neighborhood. People will begin looking at you and they'll say, how did you do this? I remember when I never saw you out. I remember when you were not active or physical at all. I remember when you didn't feel very good about yourself at all. And what happened to you? And you'll say, well, I chose something that I believed that I could do. And I so believed that I could do it. And when I did it, the exhilaration that moved through me, because my action brought me into vibrational alignment with my source. And when I'm in alignment with my source, I'm inspired to more and more and more. And I can feel myself. I didn't just turn in the stream, I'm moving in the stream, and I have so made peace with where I am, because where I am doesn't matter, because I'm moving toward that which I'm wanting to be. Very, very good.
Thank you.
In very simple terms, again, we want to say, if you don't let yourself stay up to speed with what your life is causing you and the greater you to become, then you don't feel so good. And that's what resistance is, you see. So the more you live life, the more contrast helps you to know what you don't want, which causes you to know what you do want. And each of those rockets, we like to say, becomes a part of this vibrational escrow that the source energy part of you is not only tending to, but has become. So then it follows that the art of allowing must be something about listening for that call of source and going in the direction of that call of source. We want to help you to realize that when you get into the flow of that energy cycle that is you feel such exhilaration. And when you try to hold yourself apart from the flow, you don't feel so good. Imagine taking your canoe down to the river's edge and you get your boat in the water, and then, if you are like most humans, you deliberately point it upstream and begin paddling really, really hard. And we say to you, you might want to turn that boat around and go with the flow. And humans say, after considering it for a second, oh, Abraham, that just seems lazy. And we say, but how long can you keep that up? And they say, I don't know, but I'm going to spend this lifetime figuring that out. And then they go on to explain, you see, that's just what we do here. All of the trophies are given to those who paddle hard against the current. And we say, and we so want you to hear this, nothing that you want is upstream. Everything's downstream because your life caused you to ask for it, and source became it and is calling you toward it. And when you go in the direction of that call, you're going with the current. And when you're not, you're not. Jerry and Esther, with friends in Colorado, went whitewater rafting on a river in Colorado that had very fast current and lots of exciting rapids. There were many fours, some threes. In fact, other river companies, when they came to these stronger rapids, pulled their boats right out of the water and trucked around them. But the group that Jerry and Esther were with went right on through. As Jerry and Esther were driving up the canyon in this bus, where they had a clear view of the river, they said to each other more than once, are we out of our minds? Because they could see this very fast moving current. And then they wondered even more when they saw the release form that they had to sign that basically said, your odds of surviving are not all that good, so sign here so we are not held liable. Esther said, I refuse to read this. I'll sign it, but I'm not going to read it. I don't want to know what you know. So as they put their boat into the river, one thing that became very apparent to Jerry and Esther and their friends right away, there was no way they were going to paddle upstream. And we want you to understand that about your stream. In other words, there's no way you're going to paddle upstream. You can try, and you can ruin your life doing it. You can keep yourself from going with the flow, and you can cause all kinds of trauma in your own experience, mostly in your physical body. But there's no way that you're going to make any headway against this current. And you say to us, that's so strange, Abraham, because all of the trophies and monuments are promised to those who paddle hard against the current. And we've heard that after we die, there are even more, you tell us. And we say, if you will allow yourself, you don't even have to turn and go with the flow. You just have to stop paddling. The current will turn you. One of the things that was most evident to Jerry and Esther as they watched this stream, there were some very large boulders, big rocks that were not going with the flow. They were rooted to the floor of the stream. And as the water approached those boulders, it went high in the air, it went around, but it caused great trauma. If those boulders had been moving with the current, it would have not been the harsh experience when they came to the boulder. The guide in their boat said to them on more than one occasion, we do not want to get ourselves up against one of those rocks, because if you get up against one of those rocks with this fast-moving current, all kinds of things that you do not want to happen. And we say, it's sort of like when you cling to an idea or to an argument or to an intention of being right, and you hold yourself and you don't let yourself go with the current will beat you up. And the reason that we are making such a big point about this is because as we visit with so many of our human friends, we have discovered that many of you have come to believe something that is utterly untrue. Many humans actually believe that there is a stream that moves toward goodness and that there is a stream that moves toward badness. And if you're not vigilant, you could end up in the wrong stream. And we're wanting you to understand there's only one stream that you're letting yourself flow with or not, and you can tell by the way you feel whether you're letting yourself flow with it or not. And so the feeling that you have that there's something bad happening, that there's some bad force, is you pinned up against a rock with the stream flowing rapidly past you and beating you up. In other words, the only reason anybody ever gets sick is because your life, even before you were in this body, had the energy moving fast. Your life in this body got the stream moving even faster. And for some reason, you're fixated on something that's causing you to not go with the flow, and the stream is beating you up. A car that's going 100 miles an hour and hits a tree, it's a bigger problem than a car that's going 5 miles an hour and hits a tree. So the longer you live life, and the more contrast you experience, and the more desires that are born within you, and the more the source says yes to those desires that are born within you, the faster your stream moves, and the more important it is that you go with the flow. That's why the children are healthier than the older people. The more you don't go with the flow, the more the stream beats you up. The stream of life is beating me up, you say. Why would a good stream beat me up? Seems like only a bad stream would beat me up. And we say, there's only one stream. There's not a good stream or a bad stream, but when you pin yourself against the rock or you're trying to paddle in resistance to the stream, it takes a toll on your physical body. You never walk into a room and look for a dark switch. You don't expect to flip a switch that makes inky, misty darkness come in and cover up the light. You understand that there is a switch that can resist the light, but there is only a source of well-being. There is only a source of light. And so we want you to begin listening for that call of source. But in order to do that, you have to know that it's a vibrational call and that it translates within you in the form of emotion. You hear source calling you through your emotional center. That's the best way of saying it. Through the living of life and through the living of the contrast in your experience, you are letting your guidance system know where you want to be. And in fact, not only have you let your guidance system know where you want to be, your source energy guidance system has become that which you are wanting to be. In other words, this vibrational escrow that is amassing is including every subtle nuance, every bold statement, everything that your life has caused you to become is there pulsing for you. So now here you are standing over here in the middle of whatever you're doing, beating the drum of whatever you're giving your attention to. And as you are beating the drum of whatever you're giving your attention to, you are activating a vibration within you you, which has a vibrational relationship with the vibration of that which you have become. That's how your guidance system works. So when you allow yourself to relax and go in the direction of that which you have become, you feel the ease of that, you see.